Hi everybody, I'm Mackenzie. Like Kevin said, I'm the environmental management coordinator here at the park, so I really have a lot of hats that I kind of fall under. My main task here at the park is I run a micro tree nursery, and I can grow 25,000 species a year, and all of the seeds that I collect are collected here within the park. I process them, we plant them in the pods, and then we plant them here back in the park. Another one of the big things is we bring children in, and we do a lot of children education with trees, environment, all of that stuff. I do that with one of my coworkers, and one of my last hats is with the invasive species that we have here in the park and trying to map it, manage it, which is really difficult, as most people know, because invasive species are severely invasive. So our first spot that we're going to go to today is going to be our tree nursery, and you guys can kind of give a look. It is looking a little sparse because we had a bunch of our trays shipped out. We partnered with NBFWO last year, and I grew a bunch of trees for them. So a lot of the trays and trees went out to their planting sites here a few weeks ago, and I'm still waiting to get the trays back. So if it looks really sparse, it's normally not what it looks like. I'm just waiting to get them back so I can replant the trays.
And one thing I think it's important to note what they're doing here. We talk about invasive species and bringing something in from someplace else, where they're growing everything from right here and collecting seed from here. They're keeping everything within the park, so you're not bringing in a species that might bring something else.
Yeah, a lot of like the same with a lot of our products. So like all of our wood chips that you'll see around the park has been chipped from trees that have fallen here. So we don't bring in outside sources of wood, which is another really great like piece to it, because there's no chance of bringing in different invasive species that could have been in different parts of the province in those wood chips. Along with like a lot of our wood material, like that building that we'll see at my shed is built from all of the wood products that blew over in the storms. And we have a mill here that we were able to mill the wood with and create the building. So we really try to keep it as like local as we can, especially when it's coming to building products, to different products that we're getting, to try to limit the exposures from different areas. And we really like to try to source as close to home as we can.
Buy local. No, it's
that's basically it. We try to focus on buying local sources. So,
all right, come along, everybody.
So this is our micro tree nursery. Some of the species we have growing in here right now, which is balsam poplar, as well as we just planted a bunch of sugar maples with the children that we had here last week. So hopefully by next fall, we'll have beautiful sugar maples. But we really try to focus on the trees that are expected to do well. But I don't just collect seeds and plants that are expected to do well in the future. I do collect everything because we are trying to start preserving seeds for future plants that we can do. We're collecting our ashes. We're going to collect some balsam fir. We're going to collect the butternut. We're going to try to do a little bit of collection of everything so that we can freeze it and work with the National Tree Seed Center to like really store our seeds so that they'll last for us. Yeah, we got some luck with our butternut last year. They look really sad right now. It's because everything's fall. It's fall. You guys would understand that one. So our butternut here, we got 5 butternut out of like the 20-ish nuts that we got from a different source last year. So we have 5 butternut trees that'll be going to a native community out near Sugarloaf.
So a question we often get, Mackenzie, because a lot of people here like to diversify or they want to add some of these different species to the woodlot. Can they come and get it? Then, like, do you sell to the public?
It's definitely like a talk that we've had because we do sell to a lot of different organizations. So it wouldn't, and I know like the organizations give it to other organizations or they'll give it to woodlot owners. So it's definitely like a consideration we've had to sell to woodlot owners itself. We're still relatively new, so we're still going through the whole process. Like I've only been doing this for my 2nd summer. So it's kind of a work in progress of how things are gonna work. But it's definitely like our park manager, like he says he's really willing to work with you guys and with different woodlot owners to get people in so that we can help you guys. Like this is a helpful part to us. It also, when you guys come and can buy the trees from us and you know where they come from, you know where the seeds are from, it helps us offset our costs to help us continuing to do this.
Does anybody have any other question or anything? And I think that's important. Gareth, I'm going to pick on you.
Okay. Why are you going to pick on me, Anne?
When you developed a silviculture key to help people kind of an idea of what to do, how to manage their forests with the changing climate. You often have mentioned like underplanting or is this what you're kind of referring to then?
Well, I think so. I think that like your case studies are a good example. I mean, both due to the historical climate and the way our ground has been managed, especially like that example of that immature mixed wood with fir in it, like certainly when I started my career, that would have been cleaned of all the hardwood and the fir would have been spaced. So that would have been converted from a natural mixed wood to an even-aged, evenly spaced balsam fir forest. We've now got hundreds of thousands of hectares of it. It's maladapted to the emerging climate. It's already stressed, and it's a late successional species. I know people keep saying that fir likes clear cuts. Well, it regenerates underneath itself on undisturbed forest floor, and right. So trying to get out of that cycle, I think we're going to need to artificially bring in other species, right? Whether it's oak or maples
Sugar
or whatever
maple and
else.
butternut
Yeah.
and preserved species.
Yeah.
So
Okay. For me, it's mainly oak. Like oak is spreading in the central elevations
nice.
in New Brunswick. Like I'm seeing more and more oak at higher elevation. Like the jays will spread it, but you can certainly facilitate it. Yeah.
It is. We're seeing an increased interest in it, and it's going to be interesting to see how markets relate to it, because right now, I hate to say it, but we don't have a huge market for oak. It goes in the firewood pile.
Yeah, well, we've been at the northern limit of it, right, for a few thousand years. So
those things are going to change.
Yep, and it's tolerant of a lot of our marginal soils. The problem with sugar maple is it's a Goldilocks tree. It wants perfect growing conditions, right? And then a lot of our soils aren't going to become more productive just because it's warmer. They're still going to be acidic and nutrient poor, right? So we're not going to be growing sugar maple where spruce pine forests grow right now.
I think that's important for people to understand, that you have to also manage the expectations of people too.
Yep. So I mean, those spruce fir forests would naturally eventually become pine oak, red maple, right?
Right. So focusing on the right thing to put in there. Are you growing oak here?
We do have some oak that I collected this year. We're going to try it again because last year we didn't get a very high succession rate with our oaks that we got. So I have about 300, and we're going to try a few different methods to grow them. And then next year, hopefully we'll get, depending on what works, we'll be able to collect more seeds and get more trees out of it. Okay. Because oak is one that we're focusing on, because a lot of these, like the sugar maples, the oaks, we're looking at more for like YC and our campground, because those are the areas that I'm collecting the seeds from. So we know that they're good growing conditions for them.
Does anybody have any more questions for me? Yeah.
I'm just curious about once it becomes a sapling, when do you decide to transfer it?
You want it to be about a foot tall. So sometimes they can go a little bit smaller, but it's about the height of the sprinkler system, a little shorter. That's about where, so like the ones down at the very far end, we got those from cuttings. Those would be ready to go out into the ground now if we wanted to. They're our tallest ones, but yeah, because there's a few different trees that you can do from cuttings, and they actually do quite well.
How long will the seeds last? You have to use seeds that are fresh.
So it really depends, because like I can collect some of these seeds here in the fall, and I don't have to plant them as long as I keep them in the freezer until the spring. But a lot of the seeds you can store for a really long time as long as they're stored in the right conditions. But they do lose some of their germination rates. So if you're gonna collect seeds for preservation, you have to collect like a huge amount and expecting by the time that you're gonna go plant them to only have like a 50% germination rate compared to like the higher one that you'd get from the 1 year.
All right, on to our next spot.
So those are some red maples. So we had a different fertilizer last year that we found mossed up our pods way more than the original ones did. So we did switch fertilizers, and it's doing a lot better. We're not having as much moss growth. Those are also balsam poplar, but those ones were from cuttings compared to these ones that were from seeds. So next year we'll switch our methods to only doing cuttings of balsam poplar, because we find the growth rate is just so much quicker